Good evening. Here I am going to take the class on system analysis and design. Various approaches for development of information systems. Various approaches are available for the development of information systems. They are model driven. It emphasizes the drawing of pictorial system models to document and validate both existing and or proposed system. Model-driven approach emphasizes the drawing of pictorial system models to document and validate both existing and or proposed systems. Okay. വരച്ച് കാണിക്കുന്ന it emphasizes model-driven. Model-driven approach emphasizes the drawing of pictorial system models to document and validate both existing and or proposed systems. Okay. Ultimately, the system model becomes the blueprint for designing and constructing an improved system. അവസാനം എന്താ ഉണ്ടാവുക? The system model അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ബ്ലൂ പ്രിന്റ്, ഒരു രൂപരേഖ ഉണ്ടാവണം ഫോർ ഡിസൈനിങ് ആൻഡ് കൺസ്ട്രക്ടിങ് ആൻഡ് ഇംപ്രൂവ്ഡ് സിസ്റ്റം. ഒരു നല്ല പ്രോഗ്രസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സിസ്റ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ട്, ഇംപ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സിസ്റ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കാനായിട്ട് അതിന് ഒരു കരട് രൂപരേഖ, ഒരു ബ്ലൂ പ്രിന്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. Ultimately, the system model becomes the blueprint for designing and constructing an improved system. Okay. Next one, accelerated approach. A prototyping approach emphasizes the construction of model of a system. Prototyping is a working model for a system. A prototyping approach emphasizes the construction of model of a system. Model-driven approach, accelerated approach for the development. Various approaches are available for the development of information system. One of them is model-driven. Then second one, accelerated approach. Designing and building a scaled down but financial version of the desired system is known as prototyping. What do you mean by prototyping? Designing and building a scaled down but a functional version of the desired system is known as prototyping. A prototype is a working system that is developed to test ideas and assumptions about the new system. ഒരു പുതിയ സംവിധാനം, പുതിയ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന് പുതിയ സംവിധാനം, ഓക്കെ, അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് നോക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വർക്കിംഗ് മോഡൽ ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഐഡിയാസും സങ്കല്പങ്ങളും അതെല്ലാം ടെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഇതാണ് പ്രോട്ടോടൈപ്പ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. A prototype is a working system that is developed to test the ideas and assumptions about the new system. It consists of working software that accepts input to perform calculations, produces printed or display information, or perform other meaningful activities. It consists of working software that accepts input, perform calculation, produces printed or display information or perform other meaningful activity. എന്തെല്ലാം അതിനകത്തുണ്ട് ആക്സിലേറ്റർ അപ്രോച്ചിൽ? ഇറ്റ് കൺസിസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് വർക്കിംഗ് software that has input accepts perform calculation. Working software that accepts input, perform calculations, produces the printed or display information or perform other meaningful activities. Okay, accelerated approach. Another approach is joint application development, system development. Okay, joint application, it is defined as a structured approach in which users, managers and analysts work together for several days in a series of intensive meetings to specify or review system requirements. In this approach, requirements are identified and design details are finalized. Very, very important question. Joint application development. What do you mean by joint application development? It is defined as a structured approach in which users, managers and system analysts work together for several days in a series of intensive meetings to specify or review systems requirements. In this approach, the requirements are identified and design details are finalized. Structured, next topic, structured analysis and design approach. The goal of structured system analysis and design is to reduce maintenance time and effort. The goal, എന്താ ലക്ഷ്യം? structured system analysis, ഘടനാപരമായ സിസ്റ്റം അതിൻ്റെ വിശകലനത്തിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യം എന്ത്? ടു റെഡ്യൂസ് മെയിൻ്റനൻസ് ടൈം ആൻഡ് എഫേർട്ട്, ടൈമും എഫേർട്ടൊക്കെ റെഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. ഓക്കെ. മോഡലിംഗ് ഈസ് ദ ആക്ട് ഓഫ് ഡ്രോയിങ് one or more graphical representation of a system. Modeling is the act of drawing one or more graphical representation of a system. Model-driven development techniques emphasize the drawing of models to help visualize and analyze problems define business requirements and design information systems. The first model-driven approach is structured analysis and design approach. എന്താ പറയണേ? The first model-driven approach is structured analysis and design approach. Okay, structured analysis is a development method for the analysis of existing manual system or automated system, leading the development of specification, expected functionality, or behavior for proposed system. The objective of structured analysis approach is to organize a task associated with the requirement determination to provide an accurate and complete understanding of a current situation. ഒരു പ്രത്യേക സിറ്റുവേഷനിൽ കാര്യങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അതിന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യം. The major tasks of structured system analysis approach are preliminary investigation, problem analysis, requirement analysis, and decision analysis. It is a process-centered technique that is used to model the business requirements for a system. Structured analysis introduced a process modeling tool called data flow diagram, DFD, used to illustrate business process requirements. With the help of DFD, the systems analyst can show the system overview. Data modeling tools such as entity relationship diagrams are used to illustrate business data requirements. With the help of ERD, the analyst entity relationship diagram, the analyst can show database overview. Structured design utilizes graphic description, utilizes the output of system analysis, and focus on development of software specification. The goal of structured design is to lead the development of programs consist of functionally independent modules that perform relatively independently of one another. എന്താണ് structured designന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യം? To lead to development of programs consisting of functionally independent modules that perform relatively independently of one another. It is a specific program design technique, not a comprehensive design method. Thus it does not specify file or database design, input or output layout, or the hardware on which the application will run. It provides specification of program modules that are functionally independent. It is a process and a technique that transforms structured analysis models into good software design models. Structured design mode introduced a modeling tool called structured charts. Okay. It is a process-centered technique that transforms the structured analysis models into good software design model. Structured design introduced a modeling tool called structured charts. What is that modeling tool name? Structured charts. They are used to illustrate software structure to fulfill business requirements. Structured charts describe the interaction between independent module and the data passing between the modules. Structured charts describe the interaction between the independent module and the data passing between the modules. These model specification can be passed to programmers prior to writing of program code. In structure chart, the whole application is divided into modules, set of program instructions, and modules are designed according to some principles of design. These principles are modularity and partitioning. Each system should consist of a hierarchy of modules. Lower levels modules are generally smaller in scope and size compared to higher level modules. They serve to partition the process into separate function. Okay. Each system should consist of a hierarchy of modules. ഓരോ സിസ്റ്റം മൊഡ്യൂൾസിന്റെ ഒരു ഇതുണ്ടാവും, ഒരു ഘടന, hierarchy of modules. Lower level മുതൽ higher level വരെ. Lower level modules are generally smaller in scope and size compared to higher level modules. Lower level modules സൈസിലും സ്കോപ്പിലും ചെറുതായിരിക്കും compared to higher level modules. They serve to partition processes into separate function. Very important question. Coupling. What do you mean by coupling? Modules should be loosely coupled. It means that modules should have little dependence on other modules in a system. It is known as coupling. Next important question. What do you mean by cohesion? Modules should be highly cohesive. It means that modules should carry out a single processing function. It is known as cohesion. Span of control. Modules should interact with and manage the functions of a limited number of lower level modules. It means that the number of modules should be limited in calling a module. Size of module. The number of instructions containing in a module should be limited so that module size is generally small. ചെറുതായിരിക്കും size of module. Shared use of function. Function should not be duplicated in separate module. Should may be shared. It means that function can be written in a single module and can be invoked by any other module when needed. Okay. This means these principles. Okay. Structured design, you introduce a modeling tool called structured chart. In structured chart, the whole application divided into modules, set of program instructions, and modules are designed according to some principles of design. These principles are, which are they? Modularity and partition, coupling, cohesion, span of control, size of module, shared use of function. Next is prototype. Prototype is the working model to test ideas and assumption for development of system. Working model. Prototype means what? Prototype means working model to test ideas and assumption before the development of system. Okay. System for the system development. A prototyping approach emphasizes the construction model of a system. Designing and building scaled down but functional version of a desired system is a process known as prototyping. A prototype is a working system that is allowed to test ideas and assumptions about the new system. It consists of working software that accepts input, performs calculation, produces printed or displayed informations, or performs other meaningful activities. It is the first version or iteration, means repetition, of an information system, and that is an original model. Customer evaluates this model. This can be effectively done only if the data are real and the situations are live. Changes are expected as the system is used. This approach is useful when the requirements are not well defined. A prototype is usually a test model. What do you mean by a prototype? It is usually a test model. Test model. It is an interactive process. It may begin with only new functions and be extended to include others that are identified later. The steps of prototyping process are depicted in there. Identify the user's known information, requirements and features needed in the system. Development a working prototype. Revise the prototype based on feedback received from a customer. Repeat these steps as needed to achieve a satisfactory system. Actual development of a working prototype is the responsibility of a system analysis. The difference between the prototype model and an actual information system is that a prototype will not include error checking, input data validation, security and processing completeness of a finished application. It will not offer user help as the final system, but sometimes prototype can evolve into the product to be built. The prototype can be easily developed with the tools of fourth generation languages and with the help of computer-aided software engineering case tools. Prototyping approach is a form of rapid application development. Next, very important is a joint application development. Okay, it is defined as a structured approach in which users, managers and analysts work together for several days in series of intensive meetings to specify or review system requirements. അതിൻ്റെ ആവശ്യകത പുതിയ കമ്പ്യൂട്ടർ സിസ്റ്റം, പുതിയ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ ആവശ്യകതകളെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള ധാരാളം കുറേ ദിവസങ്ങളിലെ മീറ്റിംഗ്. ആരൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാവും? യൂസേഴ്സ്, എൻഡ് യൂസേഴ്സ് ഉണ്ടാവും, മാനേജേഴ്സ്, സിസ്റ്റം മാനേജർ, സിസ്റ്റം അനലിസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവും. വർക്ക് ടുഗദർ ഫോർ several days in a series in an intensive meeting to specify or review system requirements. The important feature of JAD is to join the requirements planning, which is a process whereby highly structured group meetings are conducted to analyze problems and define requirements. The typical participants in a JAD are listed below. Very important question. JAD session leader. The JAD's joint application development leader organizes and runs the JAD. This person is trained in group management and facilitation as well as system analysis. The JAD leader sets the agenda and sees that it is met. The JAD leader remains neutral on issues and does not contribute ideas or opinions, but rather concentrates on keeping the group on the agenda, resolving conflicts and disagreements, and soliciting all ideas. എന്താണ് ജാഡ് ലീഡർ എപ്പോഴും ന്യൂട്രൽ ആയിരിക്കും. ജാഡ് ലീഡർ റിമെയിൻസ് ന്യൂട്രൽ ഓൺ ഇഷ്യൂസ് ആൻഡ് ഡസ് നോട്ട് കോൺട്രിബ്യൂട്ട് ഐഡിയാസ് ഓർ ഒപ്പീനിയൻസ് ബട്ട് റാദർ കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ്സ് ഓൺ കീപ്പിംഗ് ദ ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓൺ ദ അജണ്ട, റിസോൾവിംഗ് തർക്കങ്ങളെല്ലാം തീർക്കാനായിട്ടാണ് അദ്ദേഹം ശ്രമിക്കുക, ജാഡ് ലീഡർ. ഇനി യൂസേഴ്സ്, ദ കീ യൂസേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് ദ സിസ്റ്റം under consideration are vital, very important participants in the JAD. They are the only ones who have a clear understanding of what it means to use the system on a daily basis. Managers. The role of managers during the JAD is to approve project objectives, establish project priorities, approve schedules and costs, and approve identified training needs and implementation plans. In the managers' role, the role of managers during the JAD is to approve project objectives, establish project priorities, approve schedule and costs, and approve identified training needs and implementation plans. Cost ഇതിൻ്റെ ചെലവിൻ്റെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ട്രെയിനിങ്ങിൻ്റെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യുക, പ്ലാനുകൾ, ഇതെല്ലാമാണ് മാനേജേഴ്സ് നോക്കണം. ടു അപ്രൂവ് ഒബ്ജക്റ്റീവ്, പ്രൊജക്റ്റിന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യങ്ങൾ എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്, പ്രൊജക്റ്റിന്റെ പ്രയോറിറ്റി, പ്രൊജക്റ്റിന്റെ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്, ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് മീറ്റിംഗ്, ഓക്കെ, അപ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യാൻ, പ്രൊജക്റ്റ് ഷെഡ്യൂൾ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള, ഓക്കെ, ഇതെല്ലാമാണ് മാനേജേഴ്സിന്റെ കയ്യിലുള്ളത്. Sponsors, a JAD must be sponsored by someone at a relatively high level in the company, that is the person from top management. If the sponsor attends any session, it is usually at the very beginning or at the end. System analyst, members of the system analyst team attend the job session, although their actual participation will be limited. Analysts are there to learn from customers and managers, but not run or dominate the process. Near a system analyst, system analyst and the members of the system analysis team attend the JAD session, although their actual participation may be limited. Analysts are that learn from customers and managers, but not to run or dominate the process. Scribe, the scribe takes down the notes during the JAD session. Who takes down the notes during the JAD session? The scribe takes down the notes during the JAD session. This is usually done on a personal computer or laptop. Notes may be taken using a word processor. Diagrams may directly be entered into a case tool. Next, IS staff, like systems analysts, other IS staff, information staffs, such as programmers, database analysts, IS planners, information system staff, like systems analyst, other IS staff, such as programmers, database analysts, IS planners, and data center personnel may attend to learn from the discussions and a possibility to contribute their ideas on the technical feasibility of proposed ideas, on technical limitations of current system. Very, very important question. JAD, Joint Application Development Essay. Who? The typical participants. Who are the typical participants? JAD session leader. The JAD session leader remains neutral. Okay. Then who? Who another people? Who are the another people? Users, managers, sponsors, system analysts, scribe, and other information system staff. Okay. The following are the various benefits of joint application. Actively involves user and management in the project development, reduces the amount of time required to develop a system, and incorporates prototyping as a means of confirming requirements and obtaining system design and obtaining design approvals. This is the fundamental principles of system development life cycle. The following are the fundamental principles of SDL, system development life cycle. Management and users should be involved because they can explain the problem that is to be taken, the design for the design and development in an accurate manner. A problem solving approach should be adopted. A problem solving approach, problem solving approach ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണം. Phase and activity should be established. എല്ലാ ആക്ടിവിറ്റികളും മര്യാദയ്ക്ക് നടന്നിരിക്കണം. വിവിധ നിവൃത്തിയത് മുഴുവൻ കാണിച്ച് രൂപരേഖ എല്ലാം. Some standards should be established for consistent development of system. Established for consistent development. സ്ഥിരത വേണം സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്. Development of information system should be considered capital investment. ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റം എന്തായിരിക്കണം? ക്യാപിറ്റൽ മുതൽ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ്. അതിന്റെ ക്യാപിറ്റൽ ഡെപ്പോസിറ്റ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് എന്ന് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റം. ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ സിസ്റ്റം ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യാന്നുള്ള ഏറ്റവും വലിയ കാര്യമായിരിക്കണം. ഡിവൈഡ് ആൻഡ് കോൺകർ അപ്രോച്ച് ഷുഡ് ബി അഡോപ്റ്റഡ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ വൺ വേ ഓഫ് മേക്കിംഗ് കോംപ്ലക്സ് പ്രോബ്ലം ഈസിയർ. എന്താണ്? ഒരു വലിയ പ്രോബ്ലം കിട്ടിയാൽ ഡിവൈഡ് ആൻഡ് കോൺകർ അപ്രോച്ച്. ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് സ്മോൾ പാർട്സ് ആക്കിയിട്ട് ഓരോന്ന് അനലൈസ് ചെയ്ത് കറക്റ്റ് ആക്കുക. Okay, for making a system successful, it should be designed for growth and change. Another very, very important. For making a system successful, it should be designed for growth and change. വളർച്ചയും മാറ്റങ്ങളും ആക്സെപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യണം. എന്നാലാണ് system development life cycle. Okay. Thank you. That's all for today's session.